Taoiseach, last evening I met the Maurice McCabe and his family in his home in Mount St. Nugent. And it is shocking and horrific that any family should have been put through what they have been put through over such a long period of time, over many, many years. And I've read the Taoiseach file in Maurice McCabe's home, and it is truly shocking. And what strikes one is the incredibly casual approach to a monumental false allegation by the authorities in that report once that initial report is made. The fact that it's hanging around in Garda stations without it being corrected, the fact that it took so long for either Taoiseach or the HSE to deal adequately and properly with it. But of course the lethal aspect of it is that it was used to fundamentally undermine the integrity of Maurice McCabe. There is no doubt, in my opinion, that there was an attempt and a campaign to undermine the integrity of Maurice McCabe, because it was proving a major thorn in the side of senior people within An Garda Síochána, or he was raising issues that have subsequently been vindicated in a commission of investigation in terms of all those particular issues. There's a need, Taoiseach, and I want you to confirm a need for a public tribunal of inquiry under the Tribunal of Inquiries Act. Any inquiry cannot be secret. There must be the right of public cross-examination, and people may ask the question, why? Because the McCabes made it very clear to me they're not going through a Higgins Commission of Investigation process again, ever again. Because what they went through there was shocking, with the kitchen sink being thrown at them by senior counsel representing the Garda Commissioner. Senior counsel said, to quote, he would be attacking McCabe's integrity and motivation all the way through the inquiry. My instructions are to challenge the integrity, certainly, of Sergeant McCabe and his motivation all the way through the inquiry. There was a 5-page document prepared by the Chief Solicitor's Office on behalf of the Garda Commissioner. And that is why, under no circumstances, do they want to be involved in a similar exercise again. They want a public inquiry, Taoiseach. And I know Deputy Jim McCallan, who has acted in good faith throughout this, has sent over draft terms of such an inquiry, which must include events at the O'Higgins Commission of Investigation, which were designed to entrap Sergeant McCabe. And if he hadn't the tape recording of that Mullingar meeting, well then God knows where this would have ended up. So that has to be investigated, Taoiseach, and I want confirmation from you that the Government is agreeable to including events at the Commission of Investigation to Higgins in the terms of reference, and that the Government is agreeing to a Tribunal of Inquiry Act itself.
Thank you, Deputy. Taoiseach.
I can thank Deputy Martin for his question. When responsibility came my way from this office, for the first time since the foundation of the state, we had a senior ministry for children, a department of children, an agency for children, children's rights enshrined in the referendum, a statement in respect of sexual abuse and cloying and the cover-up and the limbo that went on in this country for years. All of that. Now, Concorla, I want you to understand that the entire country has sympathy with Sergeant McCabe and his family. We've made this point on many occasions. And what's required here is an effective process to deal with a central issue, and that is, was there or was there not a deliberate smear campaign against Sergeant McCabe and his family by senior Gardaí? And that's what needs to be dealt with here. The Minister for Justice and Taoiseach received 2 protected disclosures some time ago. 4 days later, she sent those to a Judge O'Neill. He assessed them and he said a commission of investigation is what we need here to determine that truth. And he set out the terms of reference for it. Clearly, from your meeting with Sergeant McCabe and from my meeting with you this morning, we understand that the McCabe family will not participate in a private investigation, that they want a public investigation. Now, I want to be very clear about this, Deputy Martin. When we proceed down the road of having a tribunal of inquiry under the 1921 Act dealing with tribunals, we have to be very clear that this is right down the middle in respect of everybody. The presumption of innocence until proven otherwise stands for every citizen, and people should be very careful in respect of this. Yes, Sergeant McCabe has pointed out the litany, the appalling litany of his treatment. There is nothing worse, Cairn in this country than being called a sexual abuser. And it has to be soul-destroying for any individual or their family to have to put up with that. So I can confirm to you, Cairn and the House, that the government this morning agreed in principle to set up a tribunal of inquiry under the 1921 Act. The terms of reference to be worked out, the details and the structure by which the central issue here can be addressed, and that is the determination of the truth and justice for everybody in respect of that central issue. Was there an organised smear on Sergeant McCabe by the senior Garda officers in the country, or was there not? The government will work with the individual parties in respect of the terms of reference, but I do want to make it clear that there can be no bias or no over-reliance upon anybody in the determination of how these terms of reference will be set out and the purpose for which they are intended.
Some confirmation, Taoiseach, that there will be a Tribunal of Inquiries Act. You made the point that we must be very careful. Could I suggest to you that maybe we were all too careful in our response to this saga over the last number of years? And particularly when you look back at the Higgins Commission of Investigation and the manner in which that was conducted, unacceptable. That said, Taoiseach, I also want to put it to you that the establishment of a tribunal of inquiry, and it hasn't been established yet, is no basis for ministers not coming into the House to answer questions to the House and to be accountable to the House in relation to the TUSLA file, which is over and above and additional to the protected disclosures issues that gave rise to the commission or the inquiry in the first instance. And the TUSLA file involves, and you know, the Minister of Health, the Minister for Justice would know, and the Minister for Children in particular, that an apology was to be given by a state agency to a citizen, namely Maurice McCabe. His family were on the file, incredibly. The family were on the file as well. They were embroiled in. It's appalling. So it's very difficult to understand, Taoiseach, why that wasn't revealed to the Cabinet. The idea that a state agency is about to apologise to a major public figure at this stage involves in very high-profile cases. So I do think there is an onus, because this is an important chamber in terms of accountability, and that ministers this week should come before the House to answer in relation to their responsibilities pertaining to it, and to give straight, clear answers, which may clear up a lot, because there has been incoherence at the heart of the government's response to the TUSLA file. That is to put it mildly, and I think there is an opportunity this week in this House to do what parliaments should normally do, which is come before the House, account for one's stewardship over a particular issue, and enlighten the deputies into whatever challenges or constraints that ministers were operating under, or indeed explanations as to the lack of coherence in articulating what is an issue that has given rise to major public interest and indeed major public scandal.
Thank you, Deputy. Taoiseach.
Before the House myself, Deputy Martin, I've said to you that the Cabinet have agreed in principle to hold a public inquiry under the commissions of under the Tribunal Act of 1921. You do mention the Higgins investigation, and without being too political about this, I understand that one of your own members a number of years ago was allegedly given very important information which could have been germane to that report, which chose not to do so for a period of 3 years. I would say that people should understand What the government have tried to do over the past period is to set up the Independent Inspectorate, to revamp and restructure GSOC after 10 years, to set up the completely independent police authority, because the perception of the Gardaí at higher levels over many years has not been what it should be, and it will take some time to change that culture by the independence of appointment of the independent police authority. Now, I do hope, and I want to make this clear, as Minister Zappone pointed out, that when she informed me that she had spoken to the McCabes, that the discussion that she had with them was about allegations, false allegations made to Thusla. She did not indicate to me any issue of the detail of the discussions she had with the McCabe family, or indeed the existence or any content of a file that you mentioned. Obviously, this became very public knowledge on the relevant prime-time programme. And Minister Zappone is very clear that the discussions she had with Sergeant McCabe were of a confidential nature, that she had to respect his privacy, that these things were not in the public domain at the time that she met with them. And I might say mea culpa here, because I did say, and I'm guilty here of not giving accurate information. I understood, from thinking myself, that that she had asked me about meeting Sergeant McCabe in the first place. It actually was her office that consulted with my officials who told me. So she's very clear that she did not tell me that she intended to meet Sergeant McCabe. But she did tell her official to tell my office, and so I regret that. I regret that.
Quiet.
I regret that.
Eunice, please.
I regret that. That's the same information. So I didn't actually. She didn't tell me herself that she was meeting Sergeant McCabe. But she did tell me before the cabinet meeting last Tuesday that she had met with him and they had discussed allegations that were false in respect of given to Thus.